Welcome back to Blixbox, your best source for the latest science and environmental insights. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our deep dives into the issues shaping our planet. Now, let's dive into the heart of the matter. Why is the Antarctica melting at such an alarming rate? This is the question that has been on everyone's mind, and rightfully so. After all, Antarctica, the coldest and most remote place on Earth, seems like it should be immune to the effects of global warming, doesn't it? But the reality is far more concerning. The melting of Antarctic ice is primarily driven by rising temperatures, a phenomenon that has been accelerating steadily over the past century, and it's no coincidence. This increase in temperature is largely a result of human-caused climate change. Activities like burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial practices have released massive amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and warming the planet. As these temperatures rise, they reach even the most remote corners of the Earth. Places like Antarctica that were once thought to be untouched by the impacts of global warming. In fact, the warming here is happening even faster than in many other parts of the world, a process called polar amplification. So while Antarctica may seem like the last place we'd expect to see the effects of climate change, it's actually one of the most vulnerable regions. And this melting ice isn't just a small-scale problem. Its consequences ripple out across the globe, from rising sea levels to disruptions in global weather patterns. The process of ice melting in Antarctica occurs through several interconnected mechanisms, each contributing to the rapid rate at which the ice is disappearing. First, let's look at surface melting. As temperatures rise, the top layers of ice begin to melt, forming pools of water on the surface. They seem like a small issue, but these water pools can have a powerful effect. As the water collects, it begins to seep down through cracks and holes in the ice, flowing deeper into the structure. This seepage of water accelerates the melting process below the surface, weakening the overall ice sheet and leading to more widespread melting. But surface melting isn't the only factor. Another major contributor is the warming of ocean waters. The oceans surrounding Antarctica are heating up as a result of climate change, and this increase in temperature is having a profound effect on the ice shelves. Ice shelves are massive, floating extensions of the ice sheets that extend out from land into the ocean. When ocean waters warm, they start to melt the underside of these shelves. This process gradually weakens the ice shelves from below, causing them to become more brittle and prone to cracking. Over time, these cracks expand, and large chunks of ice break off into the ocean, a phenomenon known as ice shelf collapse. Lastly, there's a process called hydrofracturing, which occurs when meltwater from the surface enters cracks in the ice. As this water seeps deeper into the ice, it causes pressure to build up over time. Eventually, the pressure is so intense that it causes large sections of ice to fracture and apart, releasing even more ice into the ocean. Together, all of these processes, surface melting, ocean warming, ice shelf collapse, and hydrofracturing, all are working in tandem to speed up the rate of ice melt. The result? A dramatic rise in sea levels and increasingly unstable ice structures, with consequences for coastal cities and ecosystems around the world. We're breaking down the shocking thing about speed here, which the Antarctic ice is melting, and why it's happening faster than we thought. The melting of Antarctica's ice sheets is happening at an alarming rate, and recent research shows that this process is accelerating far faster than anyone expected. For decades, scientists believed that the Antarctic ice sheets were relatively stable, with only gradual changes occurring over long periods of time. This was the conventional wisdom for many years, leading many to believe that Antarctica was somewhat insulated from the full impacts of global warming. But in the last few decades, this perception has dramatically shifted. From the 1970s to today, Antarctica has lost an estimated 2.7 trillion tons of ice. Yes, you read that correctly, trillion with a capital ET. That's an astronomical amount of ice, and it's not just a static number. this loss has been increasing steadily over time. To put it in perspective, this ice loss is not just a small environmental change. It's a massive shift in the planet's balance. What's even more concerning is that current projections show the rate of melting could triple by the middle of this century. This is a stark warning. If the ice continues to melt at this accelerated rate, it will contribute significantly to rising sea levels, which could have devastating effects on coastal cities and ecosystems around the world. The implications of this rapid ice melt are enormous, and we're beginning to see the long-term consequences of what happens when the Earth's ice sheets are no longer as stable as we once believed. One of the biggest concerns is the situation that's known as polar amplification. This occurs because poles are warming faster than the rest of the planet. In fact, Antarctica is warming 3 times faster than the global average. This accelerated warming is due to a combination of factors, including the loss of reflective ice surfaces that would normally bounce sunlight back into space, and the increased absorption of heat by the darker ocean waters as the ice melts away. The rapid melting of Antarctica is especially concerning because even small changes in the ice sheet can lead to huge increases in sea level, which will have widespread problems for coastlines and communities worldwide. So in this segment, we're focusing on one of the most critical problems of Antarctica's melting ice, sea level rise. The melting of Antarctica's ice sheets has a direct and huge impact on global sea levels. In fact, the Antarctic ice sheets are responsible for about 1/3 of current sea level rise. As ice melts, it flows into the ocean, causing water levels to rise slowly but steadily. It's a process that's been happening for decades, but the rate of sea level rise is now speeding. Currently, global sea levels are rising at an average rate of about 0.3 millimeters per year, with much of this rise linked to the melting of ice in Antarctica and Greenland. But the threat doesn't stop there. Experts predict that if the ice sheets continue to lose mass at their current rate, sea levels could rise by as much as 1 to 3 meters by the end of the century. That's 3 to 10 feet, which would cover major coastal cities around the world. This increase in sea levels threatens coastal infrastructure, low-lying island nations, and habitats for both humans and wildlife. Cities like New York, Miami, and Bangkok are at particular risk, as are entire countries like the Maldives and Kiribati, which could be completely drowned if sea levels continue to rise at this pace. Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked when it comes to Antarctica's ice melt: its global climate effects. The melting of Antarctica's ice doesn't just contribute to rising sea levels. It also plays a critical role in shaping global weather patterns and the overall climate system. In fact, Antarctica acts like the planet's natural cooling system, helping to regulate temperatures across the globe. Its vast ice sheets reflect a significant amount of sunlight back into space, a process known as the albedo effect. This reflective surface keeps the planet cooler by bouncing sunlight away from the Earth's surface, preventing excessive warming. However, as the ice melts, this crucial reflective surface begins to shrink. The ice, which is bright and reflective, gives way to darker ocean waters that absorb much more heat. These darker surfaces trap heat, which leads to even warmer temperatures, further accelerating the ice melt in a vicious cycle. This is the albedo effect in action. The more ice that melts, the more heat is absorbed, and the faster the ice continues to disappear. This process has far-reaching consequences. Not only does it contribute to the warming of the Antarctic region itself, but it also disrupts global weather patterns. The shift in energy balance can lead to more extreme weather events, such as harsher winters in some regions and more intense storms, as well as altering ocean currents that regulate climates across continents. In other words, the melting ice in Antarctica is not just a local problem. It's a global one, influencing everything from weather patterns to the delicate balance of ecosystems around the world. The loss of this ice also causes polar amplification, where the polar regions warm at a rate much faster than the global average. As we mentioned earlier, Antarctica is warming 3 times faster than the rest of the world. This rapid warming can cause atmospheric circulation, which, in turn, can affect weather patterns across the globe. Changes in the jet stream and shifts in ocean currents caused by the melting ice have been linked to more extreme weather events. We're talking about more frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, and storms. For example, the warming of the Antarctic region has been tied to increased rainfall and flooding parts of South America and Australia, as well as harsher winters in certain northern hemisphere regions. So, the Antarctic ice melt doesn't just affect sea levels, it's a key driver of changing weather patterns that could have far-reaching effects on ecosystems and human societies. In this segment, we're diving into a critical aspect to Antarctic ice melt, the feedback loop. When we talk about the feedback loop in climate science, we're referring to a process where the consequences of climate change actually accelerate the problem. In the case of Antarctic ice melt, this feedback loop is particularly concerning because it has the potential to amplify the already dangerous effects of global warming. The primary feedback loops associated with the melting of ice in Antarctica is the loss of albedo. As the ice melts, it exposes darker ocean water and land beneath the ice sheets. These surfaces absorb more sunlight than the reflective white ice, which in turn leads to more warming. This additional warming causes even more ice to melt, and the cycle continues, making it a self-perpetuating process that's hard to stop once it gets going. Another feedback mechanism is related to the warming of the oceans. As Antarctic ice melts, it releases fresh water into the ocean, which can disrupt the flow of ocean currents. These currents play a huge role in regulating temperatures around the globe, and when they are altered, it can cause further warming in the atmosphere and oceans, accelerating the process of ice melt. This feedback loop is dangerous because it amplifies the impacts of climate change and makes it even harder to reverse the damage that's already been done. Now, let's talk about what we can do to address the melting of Antarctic ice and mitigate its effects. While the situation with Antarctic ice melting may seem overwhelming, there are actionable steps we can take to slow down the process and reduce its impacts. One of the most important things is tackling climate change at its core by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. This involves transitioning to renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower, and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. By cutting carbon emissions, we can slow the warming of the planet and reduce the rate of ice melt in Antarctica. Another key area for action is sustainable land use and deforestation. Forests play a vital role in absorbing carbon dioxide, so protecting existing forests and promoting reforestation efforts are essential for combating climate change. Additionally, more efficient agriculture practices can help minimize the carbon footprint of food production. On a global level, governments need to commit to ambitious climate agreements. The Paris Agreement is a crucial framework for limiting global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees C above pre-industrial levels, with efforts to keep it to 1.5 EC. Meeting these targets would help stabilize global temperatures and slow the rate of ice loss from Antarctica. Finally, invest in scientific research to better understand Antarctica's ice sheets and develop innovative solutions for climate adaptation. This could include geoengineering or technologies that help reduce the amount of carbon in the atmosphere. Now, let's take a look at some of the incredible cutting is helping us better understand the melting of Antarctica's ice. The scientific community is hard at work studying Antarctica's ice sheets, using innovative technologies and techniques to gather data in ways that were once impossible. For example, satellite imagery allows scientists to track changes in ice thickness and movement across vast areas. These satellites can capture detailed data, helping researchers identify areas where the ice is thinning the most, which is crucial for predicting future ice loss. Ice cores, drilled from deep within the Antarctic ice, are providing invaluable insights into the history of the continent's climate. Some of these cores contain ancient air bubbles that reveal past atmospheric conditions, giving scientists a clearer picture of how the ice sheets have behaved over thousands of years. In addition, researchers are now using underwater robots to explore the subglacial lakes beneath the ice sheets. These lakes have been isolated for millions of years, and studying them could reveal how the ice is melting from below. What's even more exciting is the potential for geoengineering. This controversial field explores ideas like artificially increasing the reflectivity of the Earth's surface to counteract global warming, or using carbon capture technology to remove CO2 from the atmosphere. Even though these technologies are still in early stages, they represent the cutting edge of science and may one day offer solutions to help slow the melting of Antarctica's ice. Thank you so much for sticking with us through this deep dive into the melting of Antarctica's ice and its global impacts. If you're just joining us, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on critical environmental topics. As we've explored in depth, the melting of Antarctica's ice is one of the most concerning indicators of climate change. While much of the discussion around global warming focuses on emissions and deforestation, the accelerating ice melt in Antarctica is a direct consequence of the world's changing climate, and one that will have profound consequences for future generations. Rising sea levels, shifting weather patterns, and the disruption of ecosystems are just a few effects we're already witnessing. However, it's not all bad. Throughout the video, we've highlighted some hopeful solutions and breakthroughs in cutting-edge research that offer potential to mitigate these effects. For example, advancements in satellite technology and underwater robotics are helping scientists understand how Antarctica's ice sheets are melting from beneath. These processes are accelerating. Discussed how sustainable practices like reducing greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning to renewable energy sources are essential for combating the root cause of climate change. Governments, corporations, and individuals alike must make efforts to reduce carbon footprints and inner technologies. Now, the question remains, what can you do to make a difference? The global scale of the problem may feel overwhelming. It's important to recognize that the power of individual actions cannot be understated. Each of us holds the potential to contribute to meaningful change, and the collective actions of millions of people around the world can add up to something truly transformative. We might not be able to reverse the damage overnight. Every small step we take, whether it's in our homes, workplaces, or communities, creates ripples of change that can snowball into larger, more impactful movements. From reducing our carbon footprint by embracing renewable energy and driving less, to supporting policies and leaders that prioritize climate action, there are many ways to get involved. Even actions like reducing waste more sustainably and advocating for environmental protection can contribute to the larger effort. And let's not forget the importance of spreading awareness. Educating others about the issues surrounding climate change and environmental degradation can inspire a wider community to take action. Ultimately, it's the collective power of these actions, both big and small, that will drive the change we need to address global challenges like the melting of Antarctica's ice. The more we work together, the stronger the impact will be. As we continue to grapple with the effects of climate change and the melting of Antarctica's ice, it's clear that each of us has a role to play in reduce these impacts. While it can feel overwhelming to think about the global scale of the problem, small individual actions, when taken collectively, can lead to significant change. The first step in taking action is to begin by reducing your personal carbon footprint. Every time you drive less, choose public transport, or bike instead of using a car, you are making a difference. The transportation sector is a significant contributor to carbon emissions, so making more sustainable choices can go a long way in reducing the strain on our planet. Additionally, switching to energy-efficient appliances, down on unnecessary energy consumption at home, whether it's by turning off lights when not in use or investing in energy-saving devices, can reduce your overall environmental impact. Moreover, transitioning to renewable energy sources is one of the most powerful ways to combat climate change. If your area offers the option, consider switching to green energy for your home. Solar, wind, and hydroelectric power are becoming more accessible, and by choosing these energy sources, you're supporting the movement towards a cleaner, sustainable future. For those who are able, investing in solar panels or small-scale wind turbines for your home is a powerful way to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and further minimize your carbon footprint. An impactful way to take action is by getting involved in local environmental efforts. This could be anything from participating in tree planting initiatives to supporting local campaigns focused on sustainability. Urban areas, in particular, can benefit from additional green spaces, and you can help make a difference by supporting or starting initiatives in your community. Cities and towns offer volunteer opportunities for environmental groups that focus on reforestation, wildlife conservation, and eco-friendly urban development. By contributing to these efforts, you not only help reduce greenhouse gases but also create a healthier, more sustainable environment for your local community. Governments play a significant role in shaping climate policy. In political leaders who prioritize climate action, you can help influence decision-making on a larger scale. Voting for representatives who have clear, actionable plans for tackling climate change is a direct way to support long-term change. Beyond voting, you can also sign petitions, participate in climate marches, and engage in discussions that promote climate awareness. Voice raised in support of action on climate change counts and contributes to building momentum for policy changes that could drastically impact the future of our planet. Finally, spreading awareness and educating others is an often overlooked but powerful tool in the fight against climate change. The more people understand the importance of the situation, the more likely we are to see widespread support for necessary policy changes. By sharing what you've learned, whether through social media, casual conversations, or community engagement, you help build a collective understanding of the issue. The more educated people are about the implications of Antarctica's ice melting, the more likely they are to adopt their own sustainable practices and push for political change. Taking action against climate change is about making informed choices, spreading knowledge, and actively supporting initiatives that drive long-term change. Every action, no matter how small, plays a role in creating a more sustainable world. To wrap on today's dive into the impact of Antarctica's ice melt and what we can do to help slow it down. We've explored the science, the challenges, and the solutions, and now it's up to each of us to take action. Remember, every small effort counts when we work together. Whether it's reducing your carbon footprint, supporting renewable energy, or spreading awareness, can all make a difference. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with others who need to know about the climate crisis, and subscribe to Blixbox for more in-depth science and eco content. And of course, hit that notification bell so you never miss an update from us. That's it for today. See you next time.